Just let your soul glow.
Welcome to the Soul Shift Sessions podcast, where we dive deep into transformative conversations that empower you to elevate your mindset, break through limitations, and create the life you truly desire.
Hosted by Coach Sapphire Star and Coach Kyle McLeod, this podcast is your go-to source for actionable insights, inspiring stories, and expert advice on personal growth, financial freedom, and living with purpose.
Each episode is designed to help you shift your mindset, overcome obstacles, and embrace a life of abundance and fulfillment. Whether you're looking to transform your relationship with money, enhance your well-being, or unlock your full potential, the Soul Shift Sessions will guide you on your journey.
Welcome to another episode of Mind You. My name is Kyle McLeod, and I am with the illustrious Coach
Sapphire Star.
And we are here to talk about personal power. I've been through a lot of crap lately, and it seemed like the perfect place to start.
I think everything begins with you. I can't think of no better place to start our Mind You, transform your mind, transform your life than with ourselves. Personal power. You, me.
All right, so let me ask you this question then. There was a time where I would imagine, because you're an adult, there was a time where stuff just was not working out right. And then you discovered something. What was the first thing that you discovered that started changing things for you?
My voice. I had to find my voice because before that shift happened in my mind, I was navigating my life in such a way of what I perceived I should be operating in based on what I was taught by society, by my culture, by my parents, outside influences. Their voices was my voice, and I thought that was my voice. But I had so much internal struggles and battles with that. And I would say this was like mid 30s. So it took a while for me to find my voice. But when that light bulb went off,
Yeah.
everything else fell into place. My voice, my power, my mind, it was a shift. And I tell you, I have not looked back since. What about you?
I'm a little jealous because you're like in my 30s. And I'm like still in my 40s and feeling like, for me, a lot of it is recent, because I was okay and thought it was actually like a badge of honor by being able to adapt into any scenario, any situation. And then turns out that what that really was just fitting in. So like every environment I find myself going into, I am just taking on the environment so that I can fit in. And I'm thinking this is okay until you meet someone like Sean Smith, who's, oh no, that is just you covering up all your traumas, putting those puppies aside, and then acting like they're not even there. And for me, I would say that session that we had last year with Lisa Nichols was probably the most eye-opening thing for me, because I realized that I had been living in a state of inauthenticity everywhere.
Wow.
At home, work,
Wow.
among friends, everywhere, because I did not want to let people know what I was really thinking, because they can't handle that stuff. They can't handle what's really on my mind. And so no. And the reason why I say no is because if you listen close enough, they will tell you what they can and can't handle from you. And case in point, let's just say
Is that your
that
concern? Is that your concern, though?
that was
Is giving,
back
like you
then,
said, a
though.
lot of time with the
This was back then.
yeah, that's what I was speaking from that
Yeah,
place.
yeah. It was a
Was
huge
that
concern for me.
even well, no. Oh, that was your concern, what they perceived from you.
Correct. How I appeared in the minds of everyone else was an important
Mm,
part of the chameleon
mm.
process, right? Because if you
Oh,
think
let's talk
about it,
about that because that's a trauma. Well, I was like, that's a trauma response from people pleasing. Let's talk
yeah,
about
well,
that
the
people
people
pleasing
pleasing is
spirit.
all a part of it. Like the people pleasing, the
Yes,
fitting in, it is all a part of what I'll call the chameleon process, right? If you look at a chameleon,
yes.
that puppy can stand on a windowsill and it will take on the color of that windowsill. That puppy can go jump off the windowsill and into the grass. Next thing you know, that lizard is green, right? And that was
Mm.
me. Right? That was me. But the way I did it was by the people pleasing, by the making sure that they see me a certain way according to the environment that I was in.
How did you transform that? How did you overcome that?
Well, first of all, I had to know it was there in the first place. Right. And that's why I
Okay,
was saying that
identify.
when I was there we did, and I don't know if you were in that one, but last year we had Ignite live but it was online. And when it was over, I went out to my fire pit outside and I probably sat there for about an hour to 2 hours because that was when I had heard it was the end of the whole weekend. And that whole thing, that whole demonstration that Sean does with the coveralls and the glasses and the layers that we all have on, that pointed out that I had a bunch of layers that needed to be dealt with. With me, I just preferred to ignore it. As a matter of fact, offline, I've said I took all my traumas, put them in a room, and then I closed the door, locked it, put some cement all over it, and then layered some bricks on top of it. Pretended like the room wasn't even there. And then we do the session, and Sean, he takes every single brick down, removes all that cement, unlocks the door, opens it, and shines a light on it. And he did all that from, hundreds of miles away because I think they were recording in South Carolina. And I'm over here in Jacksonville, Florida, just watching away. And damn. And that was the start.
They came.
And a-
Mhm.
After that, there was reading about vulnerability and listening to authorities on it. Like Brene Brown was a huge authority, is a huge authority on inauthenticity, vulnerability, showing up as your authentic self. And for a minute there, I didn't even know what that even meant until I continued to do the work. For me, it was a work in progress. And then I would say it probably took about a year. And when I finally did my men's retreat this year, I didn't realize I had done so much work on myself because the breakthrough happened on the first day of the retreat. The rest of the retreat was like, I was good.
That's the
Done.
gravy. Yeah.
That was the gravy. And now that I had been through that entire process, this is the reason why I don't even, if when I put on my retreat, it's not going to be at the beginning because I want the work to be done so that when you show up to the retreat, there is just sprouts coming up out the ground. And whoever's attending they've already done a ton of work. They're just ready to just fly. So that was my experience, and
I
that's the
love
experience I make sure I give to others.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I find that it's those breakthroughs and those shifts that we experience is something that we have to constantly work on. Even though I found my voice, in my mid 30s. It's
Yeah.
something even now, 10 years later in my mid 40s, is something that I have to continually work on. It's not, oh, breakthrough healed. No, it's healing. It's always
Yeah.
actively happening.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have to be willing to put in the work.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that it is healing that continually happens, or is there a healing and then there's maintenance afterwards? Because I feel like a car, right? I can do all these great things to make my car be fine, right? Change the oil, make sure there's gas in it, clean it, do all the maintenance things. But I can't just keep running that car after I've done all those things, right? Like I have to continually maintain that vehicle. So I'm not necessarily healing it, but I'm just making sure that it's running at its optimum settings, right? So my question for you is, do you feel like there is like this healing and then continuous healing, or is there a healing and then there's maintenance that must be performed unless otherwise you fall back to where you were before?
I believe it's both. I believe healing is actively happening till we go to the grave because life is always lifing. We're
Mhm.
always being confronted with new challenges, new things that kind of pushes us outside of our comfort zone, things that sometimes can push us back into triggers that may create a response in us. So I feel like healing is actively happening. Maintenance is the work that we have to continue in order for that healing to actively be happening. So the healing is in the background, but it's something deep down inside. It's the heart of who we are. It's in our
Mhm.
heart. Our mind, our bodies is doing the work, the maintenance to make sure the heart is still thriving, is still pumping, but the heart is still going to beat. The heart is gonna continue to beat. But there's other things, the synchronicity that's happening in our bodies, and that's how we can relate to maintenance. These things are happening all together for the greater good for our heart to continue to beat. So that's what I feel the maintenance is. The maintenance is the work to continue to thrive and heal in whatever we're going through in life.
Okay, so now what does your maintenance look like? And then I'll say what mine looks
Absolutely. My maintenance is having rituals that feed, and we're talking about personal power, that feeds into my personal development. But before I even get to my rituals, let's go to the foundation. The
like. Okay.
foundation of the work that I'm putting in is my why. The why of why, whatever I've gone through, whatever I healed through, whatever I'm healing through, to get to where I want to be, that's the anchor. Because again, like I said, life gon' life. So what's gonna
Right.
keep me anchored and strong when triggers do come? Because they will happen. There's no way of, oh, it's not, I'm not gonna ever be, bruised again. That's not gonna be the case. But
That
if I
happens.
have my why, I have my anchor, I have my foundation. When the wind blow, my tree is firmly planted in the
Mhm.
soil.
Mhm.
Then I have my rituals, my personal developed things that I do daily. I have this daily list of things, and it doesn't have to be because I think some people, when they think about certain like the miracle morning, right? And they talk about all the different things you could do every morning, get up and this checklist. But sometimes that can be overwhelming and it may not be realistic for some people. But in the Atomic Habits, they talk about that one thing that you can do consistently over the
Mhm.
period of time, that will give you more of a feeling of accomplishment and more of a feeling of consistency. And that moves me over into the next thing with your why, your personal rituals for personal development is being consistent. That's really the key to success. Progress over perfection. Find something that you can do consistently towards your personal power that helps you achieve that in the time frame that you set for yourself because it must be smart, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And so
Yep.
these are things that I do to continue the work in my healing. What about yourself?
All right. So sticking with your framework, the why for me is very simple. I want to experience a life where abundance flows in our household and strife is outside, right? Our house has to be very peaceful. And it is.
Protect your peace.
Yeah, like you have to protect your peace. And, when I see my oldest child, who is a child of multiple households, when she goes and visits family for the summer, I appreciate our house even more because she is running back here at the end. She's had enough of everywhere else. And that lets me know that as parents, like Patrice and I have created this place where they feel safe, right? So I always want them to feel
Yeah.
safe. I always want to have peace and I always want abundance to flow. And what abundance flowing looks is being able to do what we want when we want. That for me, that's the
Yeah.
experience of abundance, right? And then the maintenance though. The maintenance for me lines up with the only word I can use is inconsistent. And the reason why I'm saying inconsistent is because when I start seeing stuff manifest, stuff that I want, I start to sit back a little bit.
You stop. You get comfortable.
Get
You're
comfortable,
real
right?
comfortable. Yes, I
And
think we're
then
all guilty of that.
stuff starts to happen, and I'm like, why is I got too comfortable? And then next thing you know, back to meditating, back to listening to the things. And for me, I have certain people in my life that when it comes to manifesting, it's like a part of their biological system. That's not this brother here.
Mm,
This brother here got to work at it. Okay. And when I say work at it, I mean, I have to constantly pay attention to my emotions. I have to constantly pay attention to my thoughts, which are causing my emotions. And anytime there is a disalignment there, I get to identify, all right, what is it? What is the belief that I am having right now? And the belief is just a thought we keep thinking, right? So, what is the belief that I have right now that has me feeling like this? And then after
mm,
identifying what that is, I can now fact check. Is this real or is this something that I made up? Is this something that needs to be reframed? Because there are different truths, right? I
yes.
use the story of when I had a business and I needed some help, my coach was like, you gotta go ask for help. I hate asking for help, Sapphire. I hate it, right? But from a business standpoint, we need help, right? We can't just make
Yes.
everything happen on our own. And so I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in my WhatsApp and I'm going to kill a bunch of birds with one stone by reaching out to my former graduating class. Now, what you don't know is that many of the members, I should say many, that's wrong. There are several members of my graduating class who contributed to my childhood trauma. Right. And now we're all adults now and I get to go and ask them for help. And so I go into the WhatsApp and I'm ready to paste my message in there asking for help and for like referrals. And then I see this message called Get Well Raul. And what you don't know is that at the time on Tuesday, this is a Friday. On Tuesday, Raul had posted a picture of him being in the hospital and he's got like cords
Oh,
and wires attached to him because he had heart surgery. I said something on
wow.
Tuesday, Sapphire, get well, hope that, your life changes to meet the things that your body needs, like something real nice like that. It's now Friday and the get well wishes are still rolling in. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
in that moment, first of all, I don't even want to ask for help in the first place. But in that moment, I'm like, all right, if I put this in here, am I going to come across as selfish or am I diminishing? What all of these thoughts are happening, right? But if I don't do it, If I don't do it now, it's not
You
going to
won't.
happen. I'm not doing it if I don't do it now. So on one hand, how do I do this thing and and not be insensitive at the same time? Like, how do I do it all? And this is where the reframing comes in, because I'm like, what am I really doing here? I'm using Raul as an excuse to not do this. And
Mm.
that took time. And when I say it took time in my development to get to the point where I could even look at it from a different angle like that. And so in the message, I put in, I hate asking for help, which is true. You've heard me say that. And I said, I am sitting here literally using Raul as a reason to not ask for help. But my coach says that when we don't ask for help, we're actually making it worse. It is with extreme, in caps, extreme reluctance that I put in my request. And then just as I was about to hit send, I got a phone call. Divine intervention, right? This is divine intervention to not make this call, to not send that text, Sapphire. Don't send a text because there was an interruption. And it turns out it's my friend Elise, and she's, hey, I was just returning your call. And I tell her everything I'm telling you, and how I think that by you calling was divine intervention for me not to send that message, even though I was about to. The only thing you don't know is
It's
that
going
Elise is a
to.
mindset coach. She's a mindset coach. So she wasn't hearing it that day either. So needless to say,
Right.
I'm pretty sure you can send that message while we're on the phone right now. And I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do send it. And the amount of relief that I felt after
Mm.
sending that, like it just washed all over me, because it now is no longer like all those thoughts of what if, they don't matter no more because I hit send. And I got so many positive responses. Even Raul said, thank you for doing that, because I don't want all the focus on me, you know? And so it was
Oh,
a lot.
wow.
Yeah, like we think that things are going to go to hell, and they really don't. And it's a sign of courage. And that was what I was learning to do. And back when, at the time of that story, was I was learning how to be courageous. And I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
when I teach, I talk about courage and bravery. And to me, I mean, a lot of people have different definitions for that. And some people have like they're woven together. But for me, bravery is that type of thing that doesn't require any thought. If I see you about to get hit by a car, I'm not going to think twice before trying to push you out the way, even at the risk of my own life, right? I'm not going. It's not
Mhm.
even a thought, right? But
Absolutely.
courage is different, because courage is I could take it or leave it. I could have not sent that text, and my life would have probably been just fine had I not sent that text. But what I'm doing
I
is
disagree.
well, we don't know though, right? Because I chose that path, right? We don't know what life would have looked like had
I
I not chosen.
disagree about I disagree about your definition of courage, of take it or leave it.
Oh, well, that's not the definition though. I'm just saying that we have a choice with courage. I can choose to be courageous, or I could choose not to be courageous from moment to moment.
Okay. Okay.
And that's all I'm
Okay.
saying, take it or leave it, is that I can choose to not be. Saving your life is not a choice for me. That's just what happens. It's not even a thought. But choosing to send that text message in light of and being vulnerable in front of people that I'm not vulnerable in front of, that's a choice. And if I make
That's a
that
choice.
choice, yeah, if I make that choice and choose to be courageous and choose to be vulnerable, then I'm being courageous. But if I choose not to do that, then we don't know what would have happened if I didn't do it, because I didn't take that path. But I think that we are presented with opportunities to be courageous, and some of them we take and some of them we don't.
And I think that's a great story of personal power because in that moment, sending that message was really not about them or them responding or them helping you. It was really about you having the courage to do it anyway, in spite of the internal turmoil you had going on. And it was a victory in itself. If no one even responded, it was
Right.
victory and overcoming for you because you made the decision in spite of what you were feeling to do it anyway, to do it
To hit,
anyway. And what a great example of personal power. Great
yeah,
example.
yeah. And it's when it comes to showing courage, I think that for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, that inner turmoil that you talk about, that's a key indicator for me. Is my stomach balling up in knots? Am I feeling anxiety around it? Then this is probably a moment that's calling for courage. And now I'm
Yes.
resisting. I'm so resisting. I don't want to do it. Right. But at
Yes.
times I do choose it. And I'm not going to sit here and stand here as if I'm courageous all the time because I am clearly not. But the difference between the me now and the me then is that I actually can identify and
Mm.
see this is an opportunity for courage versus this is just a different kind of moment that I'm having.
I think that's a great thing about being an adult and having wisdom. It doesn't necessarily mean those 2 come together, though. I should say developing and acquiring wisdom, the experience and things that we go through. And it's one of those things whether we win or we learn. And every time we go through these things in life, we learn so much more about ourselves, our abilities, our capabilities. And that just
Yeah.
makes us so much more wiser, so much stronger, and so much like we're evolving. We have evolved from, like you said, the person you were then to the person you are now. You can now identify, and that comes with wisdom. But you really had, because I know a lot of time people don't want to go through things.
Mhm.
Honestly, like the phoenix going through the fire, like gold
Just-
going through, like you have to go through these things in life, even though we don't want to. But
Yeah.
these are things that shape us into who we are to become. I always say
Yeah.
struggle builds character.
Well, how many times have we heard, Sapphire? The joy is in the journey, right?
Hey, you better say that again. Say that again. Mind
The,
you, the
the
joy is
joy,
in the journey.
the joy is in the journey. But here's the thing, though. Let's
Hey, boy,
call a spade for just a moment. How many
go
people do you
ahead.
know that they are solely working for the experience of the manifestation of whatever that thing is? I mean,
So many. So
when that thing comes up, it's just a few minutes, right? Or seconds when it finally happens,
when
right?
you're like, that's it. Like you're expecting this grandiose
Mhm.
feeling thing, and it
Work.
does feel good. Don't get me wrong, but you're like, oh, that's okay. And that's when I learned that, oh man, like the destination, I mean, the journey is the destination. Like the journey and everything I'm going through, not the end point, but the
Yeah,
journey, the things that take me
yeah,
there. That
yeah,
is the destination. In my
yeah,
struggles and my grinding, whatever I'm going through in life,
yeah,
that is the journey. And I can celebrate that. Even the
yeah.
good, the bad, the indifference, I can celebrate that because that is a part of what is going to make me who I am on the other side.
Yes.
I got
However,
excited. I'm sorry. I got excited.
I don't know about you, but I don't have that level of excitement when I'm going through the stuff, though. Like when the
I
stuff
do,
is hitting
because
the
I
fan.
do.
Oh, you're a rare breed, Sapphire Star.
Because
Okay,
that's telling me, "Oh, you on track." That's telling me
yeah,
whatever that is I'm getting to, all the
yeah.
savory and sweetness of it. Like, it's gonna
You,
be so good. Like you said the other day, that good meal when you finally get it. Ooh,
hilarious moment
chef's
or what?
kiss.
Well, you showed me something, and I was like, "Oh, that was like having a really great meal." And you were like, "I totally
Yes,
get it. I totally get it."
for the
And that
culture, for
opened
the
her
culture.
story.
Yes, that Sunday meal at the church.
And you sitting back like, "Woo, that was good." That
Yes,
satis
yes, at grandma's house. Yes,
yes,
there's something about it that's just,
yeah.
you get it.
But
If
I
you know,
will
you
say
know.
I'm not where you are yet. Not yet in regards to like when the stuff is still hitting the fan. I mean, I do operate a little differently now, which is I am very mindful. I don't know if you ever had this thought, I gotta do better. Right? You ever had that thought,
Always,
I gotta do better. But the thing
always.
is, though, it is a and this happens to me verbally. This is a verbal response to the negative emotion that I'm experiencing that is a result of what I'm currently seeing in my current situation. I
And it's
have to do
human.
better. Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing is, though, you probably have experienced things where you didn't, you were not attached to the result. You were not pressing, and you were getting results. Almost like you're not even trying, but you're getting results. And then there are those times where you are doing your damnness. You are trying
mm,
really hard and you are pressing. And it's like the more you press, the further away that result gets. And for me,
mm,
that's a real thing. So for me, it's if I am pressing, if I am thinking about it, thinking of not having it, right? Thinking about the lack. If my mind is on the scarcity and lack side of the equation, how that
yeah,
looks for me is I'm pressing, I'm telling myself I have to do better. I am not able to come up with the answers to my problems. Like I'm not able to do that because I am existing on the scarcity side of the equation. And
yes. And that's
I
an
would,
upcoming episode. We're gonna talk about the scarcity mindset.
yeah, I, if I am experiencing that, the difference between me now and the me then is that I can actually see that. And I can say, okay, I'm pressing. And when I say I'm pressing, I know that even though whatever this is I'm pressing about, I know it matters. I need to let go. And the
Mm,
way I let go is going into my processes. So I have written processes and I also have meditations for letting go of whatever the hell
rituals.
it is
Yeah.
I'm holding on so freaking tight on, you know? And when I do that, though, when I do that and I seriously do it, I notice that situation starts to iron itself out because I'm not so focused on the scarcity side of it. But I have to know that I'm on that scarcity side.
Absolutely. And I think that comes back full circle what you talked about earlier. When you identify and you recognize things may not be going the way that you would ideally like them to in that very time. It's the inconsistency that you then realize because that's the beauty, right? Not only identifying, but saying, "Oh, I have a solution for this." Like, I it's like identifying it, now I have a solution as well. I need to get back to my ritual. I need to get back to my
Yeah.
progresses. I need to get back to the things I know that's gonna help me not only achieve the goals, but feel better about what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, we just said the joy is in the journey.
Yeah.
Even if you never even arrived at the destination, you are by far a better person than you were yesterday by you deciding to be better, do better.
Yeah.
That in itself is to be celebrated. That is to be
Yeah.
celebrated.
Yeah.
Progress
Yeah.
over perfection. Lisa
Yeah.
Nichols
Because
always says that.
perfection ain't, yeah, perfection ain't happening over here. Oh, we
It's
got
not. It's not a
progress.
thing. It's a robber of joy. Don't let it
Yeah.
steal your joy. Don't let
Right.
perfection steal your joy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I also used to think that distractions were not good things. But what I have found is that when I am experiencing negative emotions, a good distraction, it can be very helpful in stopping the pressing of whatever I'm pressing about. And for me, it might be going to see a good movie,
Yeah.
going on a hike. I might go for, the more miles I put in, the further away that problem gets. Now it might take 50 miles. It might take
Yeah,
60.
but you get there.
that
Yeah,
I can't think.
yeah.
But one thing I do appreciate is I appreciate my children in this particular case, though, because I have one particular child who I don't even think she even knows, right? I'm pretty sure she doesn't know, but she has this way of grabbing my hand. She might just want to hold my hand, Sapphire. That's probably
Oh,
all she wants to do, right? But for me, that moment is come out of the darkness where you are and come over here to the light
come to
where I am. Come to the
the
light,
light,
Carol.
Caroline, the light,
Like, Carol,
Caroline.
you're on the dark, Carol Ann. Come on over here to the light, you know?
Come to the light,
And
Caroline.
I promise you that child will catch me in some of my darkest mental times. And she'll just grab
And
my
that's your
hand and
little
say,
angel.
she won't say it out loud, but she will be like, come on out of that darkness, Carol Ann.
Yes. Love heals all. It really does. And
It
especially the
does.
love from your children. And I have a granddaughter, unconditional love. They don't care about your titles. They don't care about your bank account. They don't care about none of that stuff.
None of that.
They care about you. They don't care about
Yeah.
your past, your
Nope.
present, your
Nope.
future. Like they care, and I said it is the present. They care about who you are, and that love is just transcendent.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are struggling because we may or may not even receive that kind of love, and that is what kind of keeps us in dark places sometimes. But to have that is such a beautiful thing, and it really is a blessing. It really is.
How often do you think that that love shows up in a lot of different ways, but people see it and they figure it's really more of an annoyance? You know, the dog that comes to you and puts their head on your lap because they can tell that you
Mm.
frustrate, tell that you're going through, and it's go somewhere, go lay down somewhere, right? Instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
taking that moment
In a moment.
and
Yeah,
taking that moment.
yeah. It probably happens more than people realize, and we have to be intentional, but we also have to be mindful and aware of things that are going on around us, and not taking those little things for granted. Let me tell you something that I absolutely love that brings me the most, like, joy.
I'm listening.
I love to hear children playing. Like, I
Mhm.
love like, when you
It's
I will go to a park. Like, I used to take my granddaughter to the park all the time, but she's about to be 14, so it's like, "Nana, please."
little park
So
as much.
now is I will go to the park or I'll walk. Like, I love walking. That's self-care is very important when we are strengthening our mind. But
Yeah.
I will stop if I hear children playing in a park, I could
Yeah.
just sit and just listen to that joy, and that's something it's so simple, but it brings me so much peace. Just taking the time to do small things like that. It's the little things. Or when I hear birds chirping in the morning, I'm just like,
Mhm.
how many of us, like, just don't even pay attention to the things that are going
Yeah.
on in nature because life be life and the vicissitudes of life is happening. But it's little
Yes.
things like that, taking small time, small moments for yourself to really appreciate and have gratitude, not for
Yeah.
what's to come, but what you have in the moment.
Right here in this moment.
Yes.
You raise an excellent point because for me, there was a time where I would leave my house in the pitch black on my bike for the sole purpose of that's how I felt on the inside. And I
Mm,
know that given the route that I'm going to go, that by a certain time, the sun's going to come up and it's
mm.
going to
Oh,
light the path and I'm going to see everything. And for me, that was it. It was a physical representation of what I had to physically do up here and in here on a daily basis. Wake up in the dark, go
mm,
through the process, end up in the light, be in the light for the rest of the day. Knowing that tomorrow we could be right back here again in the dark, but go through the process, get to the light, and be in the light for the rest of the day.
mm. Yes.
And
Troubles may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the
morning,
morning.
morning, right?
Yes,
And
yes. It's
But
always the
yeah,
darkest, it's the absolute darkest before dawn.
before dawn. The but
Yes.
now that I have kind of gone through all of that and have healed from a lot of different things, now it is I go out there that pitch black because I can't wait to see the sky turn orange.
Yeah.
And then I can't wait to see that sun come up. I'm not feeling like an emotion when about it. I'm just like, I got to get out in the dark because there's
I
nothing like
yes.
watching that sun come up while I'm doing like
Oh,
20
the
miles per
joy.
hour on two wheels. You know, it's just, it is addictive, right? And then like when I leave the house and it's already light out, I'm like, man, I done missed my moment. You know,
But it's a
I'm still
great
doing this.
metaphor. It's a great metaphor. It's a
Yeah.
great metaphor for what you talked about. When you're going through that turmoil, find that when you like use that metaphor when you're going through, and this is for the audience too, when you're going through a very dark time in your life, use that
Mm,
metaphor. I want to go out in this time because I
yeah.
know the sun is going to rise. That's
It's
the
coming.
motivation to go through it and get through it because man, I know the sun is coming up. The light
I
is coming. So that's almost like you look forward to going in the darkness.
We should do it in real. You go for walks, I go for rides. Audience should do that in real life. If you're going through,
Yes.
go ahead and go outside in the early morning
Yes.
before that sun comes up and
Yes.
watch it come up as you're doing your activity. And if you got to do it every day, do it every day
Yes.
until things start to shift.
Alright, so
Question.
what's your personal power quote for today?
And I was going to say the same thing. I was going to ask you yours. But all right. I was going to go with Old Faithful, but I am not going with Old Faithful because the confirmation I got yesterday was show that this was the right one for today. And I'm not necessarily the best of parents when it comes to what I let my children watch because my youngest is 14. I mean, she loves Kill Bill, she loves Pulp Fiction and Deadpool. We went and saw Deadpool. And there was a line in the movie.
Deadpool and Wolverine?
Say again? Yes. Yes.
Ooh, I wanna see it. I'm
Yes.
gonna take my
Okay.
14-year-old,
Yes.
so
When I say that this is a fantastic film, this is a fantastic film.
can't I can't wait.
Fantastic. And there's this line where one of the characters is having his moments to rise, to show up. And he hasn't been showing up for a long time. He hasn't shown up so much that in his mind, he is the worst. And then someone tells him, I don't feel like I'm the right guy. And she's, you're not the right guy until you are. You're not the right guy until you are. And the reason why I felt that was a good confirmation for today was because I facilitated a class yesterday and we were talking about it. And one of the participants put in the comment that line made her cry. So you're not the right person. You're not the right guy or gal until you are.
Wow.
That's
And I was
that's my
gonna do a completely different quote until you said that. And I'm gonna go with Old Faithful
Oh, you're going with Old Faithful. See,
is and
I
it's
Old Faithful. Well, you're going with Old Faithful. Okay, let's
go with the
ready.
Old Faithful.
Okay,
If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're absolutely right.
you're absolutely right. I can see why Old Faithful fits for this one today.
Yeah,
Fit
that's
it. It fits.
transform your mind, transform your
That's
life.
your life.
What's the tea for today? What's the tea? What's in your cup?
What's in my cup is mushroom coffee, but it wasn't supposed to be. What was supposed to be in here was supposed to be a blue petal tea that literally is
Ooh.
blue. But the next show, I'm going to have a purple haze. Put my drink next time. It'll be a
Mm,
purple haze. And I'm going to have a clear glass so you can see why it's called a purple haze. That's what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. Yes. What's
What
the
we
tea
drinking?
for me? Beach tea. beach me up. I am Old Faithful. This is just a good old green tea.
No green,
However,
no
Cal's
favor.
going to send me some Purple Haze, so we will be on the same page
So we're gonna do Purple Haze for this
for
next
the
one.
next episode.
Next
Yes.
episode, right? I gotta show you how to
I
mix it, and
cannot wait.
I gotta show you how to make it though,
Okay.
because there's a little bit of technique involved in making the Purple
Okay.
Haze. Little technique. So
Okay. And we're gonna have to do an episode to show the people how to do that too. So yes, I'm here
I'm
for
doing
it.
that too. I don't know if I can do that because my wife, I'd only make it for her and nobody else. If I teach
So we
everybody how to
can't
do it,
send
will I have my word? Voila.
you have to come up you're gonna have to you have to come up with something else to teach the people. Not that one. We're not gonna break that.
We're not-
That's sacred.
That's sacred,
That's
right?
sacred. Don't break
All right.
sacred.
So does
Yes,
it
we'll
count
teach them how to
that?
do something else.
Does it count that I actually got that from an actual company though that makes it for on their off their menu? Doesn't
It
count.
doesn't count.
Okay.
Because in her mind,
That's our drink.
that's just you. That's your thing. Yes, that's your drink.
This is
Yeah.
why I talk, right? This is why I bounce those ideas off because sometimes us men, I didn't make it for some other woman. I just showed them how to do it. What's the problem? You don't
Yes. Women, we
sacred that
want to
out.
feel special. Right. It's no longer special if you're showing everybody, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, we would love for you to share in the comment section what you would like to hear us talk about on Mind You, Transform Your Mind, Transform Your Life. We want to make sure we're giving the people what they want. Okay.
Give the people what they want. Yeah. If
Boom. We need like a boom.
I am such a proponent for that. And for all of my people who felt that the House of Dragon did not give you what you wanted in that last episode, I understand. We're not going to do that. We're going to give you what you want.
We're going to give the people what they want
What
for
they
the
want.
culture.
For the
For the
culture.
culture. Yes.
I
For
have
the culture.
thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for hanging out with me for these 45 minutes to an hour. And I look forward to the next one. I think that as an inaugural episode that we did
Episode.
I think we did I.
Yes, this has truly been a pleasure. Very organic, very real, very valuable to the audience. I am here for it, and we hope you guys just stay with us on the journey. The joy is in the journey. Come experience some of this joy on our journey of transforming the masses.
Joy is in the journey. So we are here. I'm Kyle, your transformation architect and coach, Sapphire Star. How do people find you?
You can find me at www.sapphirestar2rs.com and Coach Sapphire Star with 2 R's on all social media platforms.
Awesome. And I can be found as Keitano on Instagram, KEI_TANO, and on all other ones, Kyle McLeod. You'll find me very easily. And we are closing our first of Mind You, Transform Your Mind, Transform Your Life.